بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل إن كانت لكم الدار الآخرة عند الله خالصة من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولن يتمنوه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين صدق الله العظيم. From Ayat number 94 of Surat Al-Baqarah, we briefly went over some of these ayat, but to get into the details of these ayat, in Ayat number 94, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, but also indirectly addressing every reader of the Quran, that tell the Bani Israel, say to them, قُلْ إِنْ كَانَتْ لَكُمُ الدَّارُ الْآخِرَةُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ خَالِصَةً مِّن دُونِ النَّاسِ. That, O Bani Israel, you're claiming that the hereafter, the life of the hereafter, the house of the hereafter, the blessings and rewards and paradise of the hereafter is only for you, exclusively aside from the rest of humanity, which means that you believe the rest of humanity will not get anything in the hereafter and everything is there only for you. فَتَمَنَّوُا الْمَوْتَ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Then wish for death if you're telling the truth, or at least have this hope for death and wish for that hereafter, aspire to have it, and don't try and hoard this dunya, or don't wish to live in this dunya, live in this world. In ayat number 95, and we'll get into the tafseer of these ayat, I just want to go over the translation because they're all connected. Ayat number 95, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَلَن يَتَمَنَّوْهُ أَبَدًا بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ. The Bani Israel, they will never hope and they will never wish for the hereafter. بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ, because they know what they have sent forth. They know what kind of amal they have performed in this dunya. They know what is waiting for them in the hereafter. وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالظَّالِمِينَ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has complete knowledge and He is very well aware of the zalimeen, of the oppressors. وَلَتَجِدَنَّهُمْ أَحْرَصَ النَّاسِ عَلَى حَيَاةٍ. You will find them, the Bani Israel, they're the most greedy to live. They're the most greedy to be alive. They have the highest level of security. They wish for everything to be reliable and reliability. They try everything to live in this world as much as they can. وَمِنَ الَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا. And they're even more greedy for life than those who are mushrik. The mushrikeen, they aspire for this dunya. Those who associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will find that they have this desire to live forever in this world. But the Bani Israel are even more greedy to live in this world than the mushrikeen. يَوَدُّ أَحَدُهُمْ لَوْ يُعَمَّرُ أَلْفَ سَنَةٍ. Each one of them has this desire, has this wish that they could live in this world for 1,000 years. وَمَا هُوَ بِمُزَحْزِحِهِ مِنَ الْعَذَابِ أَنْ يُعَمَّرُ. But even if they were given such a long life of 1,000 years, this will not diminish anything from their punishment in any way. When they'll get to the hereafter, because of their dhulm, because of their kufr, because of their oppression, because of their disbelief, they'll be punished in full. It will not diminish anything from their punishment. Wallahu basirun bima ya'malun. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He watches over all of your a'mal. He watches over all of your actions. So these ayat related to death, the reality of death. The most powerful creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is death. Every single other creation, everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, when it faces death, it can do nothing. And in reality, what is death? In mathematics, we have the number 0. And the power of 0 is such that whatever number you multiply against 0, the sum is 0. And whatever number you divide by 0, the answer is 0. But what is the value of 0? Nothing. This is how powerful death is also. You can take the most powerful creation, you put it up against death, you can do nothing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the being who has created death and life in order that He may test you which amongst you is the best in your a'mal. This is the second ayah of Surat al-Mulk. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created death. And it's actually coming in sequential order. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Alladhi, He is the being, خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ, He created death first. Because everything at one point was dead. Creation as we know it, makhlooq as we know it, at one time it was nothing. Only and only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is al-Khaliq. He is that being that since ever, even before time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He existed. And He is the only perfect being. He created time. But there was a time where the creation didn't exist. Everything was dead. It didn't have any power. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created life, created creation, and gave creation life. And this is why everything that we see in this world and everything that we see in the universe, it has life. But at the end of the day, it has to face death again. Everything will go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This whole creation will perish. There is not a single creation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created that is so powerful that it can face death, or that it can escape death in any way. Sometimes we think we might be able to escape from death. And no matter how hard we try, you'll never be able to get away from it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, قُلْ إِنَّ الْمَوْتَ الَّذِي تَفِرُّونَ مِنْهُ فَإِنَّهُ مُلَاقِيكُمْ. Tell them, O Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that death which you're trying to run away from, that death which you're trying to escape from, it will definitely meet you. There's nothing you can do. And you might think, okay, I'm so smart, I'll hide somewhere, I'll get away, I'll hire some security, or I'll make some way to get away from it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, listen, whatever you do, you put yourself in the greatest fortress, يُدْرِكْكُمُ الْمَوْتُ وَلَوْ كُنْتُمْ فِي بُرُوجٍ مُشَيَّدَةٍ. Death will find you, even if you're in the most strongest buruj, You're in the most strongest fortress. You're in Burj al-Khalifa, okay? Not necessarily that, but you're in the strongest fortress, death will find you. You can't escape from death. And the reality is that the harder you try, the faster death finds you. Sometimes we think, we'll go on this diet and we'll go on that diet, and at the end of the day, with all that diet, the T is gone and we're just left dead, It's replaced with a D. We're dead. This is the reality of this life. How much we try. We think we'll have this security and that security. So what do wise people do? When you know you can't escape from something, so wise people prepare for it. If you know you have to go in a competition, so what do? There's no way out. So what do? Wise thing to do. Prepare yourself for the competition. Don't try to escape from the competition. You won't get away from it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this system that there is no one in history, not a single creation in history that has ever been able to escape from death. ever. Yes, they may have been able to prolong their life a few days, a few moments, maybe a few months. But even that prolonging, at the end, what does it do? It does nothing. This is the reality of this dunya, the reality of this world. No matter how much we try, even we build our paradise, we make our paradise on this earth, there's nothing we can do. The most powerful, how many powerful superpowers have gone? How many have gone? And what is left? We only know their names, we only know their stories. Imam Hassan al-Basri rahmatullahi alayhi, he was also a businessman. One time he went on one of his business trips. He went to one area in Iraq, and he was from Basra. He traveled to another place. And there he met one of his friends. So his friend told him that, today we have a very, very important meeting. Imam Hassan al-Basri rahmatullahi alayhi, he traveled from Iraq, he came to Mecca on a business trip. He met one of his friends, so his friend told him that tonight there's a very, very important function that has been prepared and arranged by the Khalifa, and you'll find there, come and attend, and you can also see. So Imam Hassan al-Basri rahmatullahi alayhi, he attended the function, and there was a massive tent in the middle of the desert. So they all went inside, so many people. So Imam Hassan al-Basri rahmatullahi alayhi, he sat down, and the king, he gave a small little speech, and during the speech he just mentioned that, this is in commemoration of my son. And then there were people that were standing on the sides. There was row after row of people standing on the side. And inside that massive tent, where the Khalifa was giving his speech, behind him was a small tent. So the king, with one group, these rows, he would take one row, go inside the tent, and then come out the other side of the tent. That row would go. Then he'd come back, take the second row of people inside the tent. So Imam Hassan al-Basri rahmatullahi alayhi, he writes, he said that the first row of people that went with the Khalifa inside the tent, they looked like they were military generals, They were dressed well and full dress and everything. And they went out and they stood on the other side, made a row over there. The second was a group of people that were holding trays of gold and diamonds and this and that. So the Khalifa went inside. So Imam Hassan al-Basri rahmatullahi alayhi, I told my friend, I said, what is this going on? What kind of strange festival is this? What is this weird thing going on? So his friend told him, just wait. The Khalifa has something to say after all of this. Then after that group went out the other side, the Khalifa came back. There was a group of people dressed like doctors. They looked like they went inside. And one group after another, different professions, different groups. Then at the end, the Khalifa came and he said a few words. He said, today I've brought all of you here as a commemoration of my son who passed away a year ago. And he said that I'm telling my son, that, oh my son, if it was crowds that could have saved your life, then look at this crowd. I don't know if you can find this kind of crowd anywhere. Then he said, oh my son, crowds couldn't save you. Death is so powerful it took you. And he said, oh my son, if it was military power that could have saved your life, then these are the best generals in the world. At that time, the Islamic Khilafah was very, very vast. That was the superpower of the time. He said, these are the generals. They've conquered superpowers. He said, but that couldn't save you. Death is so powerful. Even the superpower couldn't save you. And he said, oh my son, if it was wealth that could have saved you, then look at all this wealth. But that couldn't save you. If it was medicine that could save you, look at all these doctors. The best medical professions, they couldn't save you. He said, oh my son, just remember that death is such a thing that no one has ever been able to escape, and no one ever will escape. Then the Khalifa told everyone, he said, I'm only making this announcement to all of you, that if my own son, who had all this at his disposal, couldn't be saved, then take a lesson from this, that when you cannot avoid something, and death is such a thing that it is inevitable, then what wise people should do, you should prepare for your death. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us, Al-Kayyisu man dana nafsa. The wise man is one who takes account of himself. وَعَمِلَ لِمَا بَعْدَ الْمَوْتِ. And they make preparation for that which is after this world, after this life. This is what wise people do. They don't sit there and how I can live longer. What good is living longer? If you know you have to face death, It doesn't matter if you're going to face death in 10 years or 100 years. You have to face death. And there's nothing you can do. Once it comes, it won't even give you 1 minute. When it comes, it doesn't give you even 1 minute. That okay, I'll come back. Death has never told someone, I'll come back. You look like you're busy, Death doesn't have time for this. It comes, it goes. It doesn't care in what condition it takes you. This is the reality of what death is. Even Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was not given eternal life in this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam in the Quran that we have not given any man eternal life in this world. أَفَإِن مِتَّ فَهُمُ الْخَالِدُونَ. O Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, if you have to die, do you think that they're going to live forever? That anyone else is going to get to live? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, being the most beloved creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even he had to face death. Then what is the rest of creation? Who can escape? There's no technology, there's no medicine, there's nothing. Yes, this life is an amana, it's a trust, we should use it wisely. So what do wise people do to prepare for it? And the reality is that in this world, whatever we prepare for, we start to develop an aspiration. We aspire for something. Students who prepare for a test, and they prepare so much that they know they can pass it, they wish the test is right away, They can't wait to get into the test hall. They know that I can pass this, It's not that hard. But the person who doesn't study, if he's told the test is tomorrow, they start losing their head, They're not ready to go into the exam hall. The same thing with the graduation. Those who know that they got the highest marks and they're going to graduate, if you tell them the graduation is after 1 week, they can't wait for that 1 week. They just can't wait to get over with it. Why? Because they know that they've done everything that they could. They're prepared for it. For the people who do not have good grades, they do not have good marks, then they're not ready to even face that graduation. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in these ayat. That Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the Bani Israel are claiming that this akhirah is only for them, only paradise is for them, excluding the rest of humanity. Then tell them at least you should wish for it. Because when you know that something is yours, when you know that a prize is yours, when you know some certification is yours, so you aspire to get to that time to get it. Then someone tells you, that you're going to have this $1 million or whatever might be the maximum number of money we can think of. So you get it on this date, Some people, just to fool themselves, they change the date on their watches, Every tomorrow, They can't wait for that time. They can't wait for that time. We take the example of parents who know that they're going to have a child. They can't wait for the child to be born. Time comes, Because they have this aspiration, this hope, to have this kind of blessing. But when someone knows that they're a criminal, and the court date is coming, what is the condition of the criminal? He's wishing that he can delay that court date as much as he can, especially if he knows he's guilty. If he knows he has no way out, then he tries to delay the court date, He doesn't want to face the court. He doesn't want to face the judge. So these are the two reactions that we human beings have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, just look at the reaction of the Bani Israel. If paradise was really theirs, then they would wish for death. And ask them this question. In kanat lakum ad-darul akhirah, if the life of the hereafter is only for you, fatamannaw al-maut, then wish for death, hope for death. In kuntum sadiqeen, if you're telling the truth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, the reality is, وَلَنْ يَتَمَنَّوْهُ أَبَدًا بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ. They will never wish for death, ever. They'll never have this hope to see death or to meet death. بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ, because they know what they've sent forth. And what did they send forth? وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالظَّالِمِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has complete knowledge of the zalimeen. He knows what sins they've committed. And this is also a very, very deep lesson for us. What do we aspire for? What do we hope for? What are we thinking about? Are we wishing to stay here forever? Or do we have this wish to see the akhirah? Some of our mashayikh and elders, the ulama, the kind of hopes they used to have for the akhirah, subhanallah. One can be surprised. I remember one of our mashayikh, he was telling us, he said, I have nothing left in this dunya. He used to talk so normal about, he used to talk about Malak or Maut like it was his friend or something. I have nothing left in this dunya. And we told him, what will happen if you see Malakul Maut? He says, so what will happen, This thing was, he says, so what will happen? So I have to go. And he was saying, what do you mean? I'm already ready to go. There's nothing left, This is the reality of this dunya. This is the reality of this world. And there are people who are ready to go. When they meet Malakul Maut, they're ready. And there are other people who are not ready. He said, I'm one of those that are ready. What do I have left in this world? He said, I have no aspirations left for this world, One of our students just jokingly told him, yeah, but you never went skydiving. He said, yeah, you close your eyes, you can even fly. He said, so what? This world, anything you can experience in this world, you want to close your eyes and just experience, so finish, done, It's no different than really physically experiencing. You're just joking, But this is the reality of this dunya. What's left of this world? What taste is left in this dunya? What happiness is left in this world? Yeah, I'm ready to go. If Malakul Maut comes, I'll be ready to go. One of our mashayikh, he had taught hadith. He was a shaykh al-hadith. And this is an example that was given of many of the shuyukh al-hadith. And they taught hadith for 63 years. Many of them in their life. They're very old. They used to start teaching hadith around 20, 30. And for 63 years, they used to teach hadith. One of our mashayikh, he was teaching a hadith. He had his Bukhari open. And he was reading a hadith. And he looked at his students. And he got to the last hadith of Bukhari, And he looked at his students and he said, today, I'll be completing my 63 years of dars of hadith. He said, I want to read. The method of teaching the hadith, the muhaddithin have, they teach some of the hadith and then they allow the students to read the hadith. So he told the students, he said, today I want you to listen to me. I'm going to read this hadith. So he was reading the hadith, and when he finished the hadith, he looked at the door. And he was looking at the door and he said, I've been waiting for you wherever you've been, He took off his glasses, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu, and he was gone. So easy. Some of the students thought that he was joking. They went over there and said, Sheikh, and he was gone. After teaching the last hadith for 63 years. Imagine what kind of connection he must have had with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where is his position? Our question is, what will be our condition? What condition will we go in? What condition will we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in? We don't know. We're told in our hadith that the action you're performing at the time of death, you'll be resurrected performing that action. Hakim Luqman alayhi salam, the wise sage, he told his son, he said, oh my son, if you're ever going to commit a sin, just make sure that you have enough life left to repent. Because if you don't repent, then that is the last deed you did before you met Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is that the condition you want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So he said, oh my father. His son said, oh my father, I don't know how much time I'll have left. He said, okay, so then don't disobey Allah. Because you don't know what sin of yours you may commit. That might be the last deed you ever do in your life. We don't know. What is the condition of our a'mal? Do we aspire for the akhirah? Because where we build our treasures, that's where our hearts will be. What treasure have we built in the akhirah? Do we aspire for paradise? Do we really aspire for Jannah? Have we built our Jannah? If we built our Jannah, so we will aspire for it. We'll have this hope for it. I give you an example. In this world, everyone wants to go on vacation, Everybody just can't wait to get out. But the reality is, for those who go on vacation, for those of you who do go on vacation, the reality is that after 1 week of vacation, you start wishing to go home, Yes? We human beings, we're like this. After 5-6 days, when the fizz is gone, we're like a bottle of Coke. You shake a bottle of Coke and you push the top and the fizz comes. We human beings, we're like this fizz, Once the fizz is gone, the Coke is stale. Everything is finished. Similarly, after 4 or 5 days, all the fizz is gone. We can't wait to go back home, We start wishing, why I made this 2 week, bro, I could have done this in 1 week, And mashallah, even sometimes we go for Umrah. We're standing in front of the Kaaba, and after 4 or 5 days, say, I think I need to go home now. Yes? This is human nature. Why? Because we're wishing to go home, because home is home. This is the example of righteous people in this dunya. They've built the akhirah. So they can't wait to leave this dunya. I say, man, what is left of this world? Time to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When will I get to go home? I said the example of a mu'min, of a believer, his example is like a fish out of water. This world for him is like you take a fish out of water. He's always hoping, wishing to go back to the water. And it's a real mu'min, a real believer. His heart is like that fish, and the water is the masjid, the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when the mu'min or the believer is in the masjid, so he's comfortable. He's like a fish in the water. And when he leaves the masjid, the example is like the fish out of water. Have you ever seen a fish out of water, how disturbed it looks? So this is the condition of a mu'min when he's outside of the masjid. We should ask ourselves, what is our condition? Do we wish to be in the masajid or do we wish to be outside? Because the masajid are the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These masajid on the day of judgment, we're told in the hadith, that these masajid will become part of Jannah. And these masajid will say, oh Allah, so-and-so used to be my friend, and so-and-so used to be my friend, and so-and-so used to be my friend. So how do you know, how are these your friends? So this one used to come for Fajr Salah, this one used to come for Isha Salah, this one used to... Imagine who used to come for 5 times Salah, so what the masjid will be saying, oh Allah, this is mine. This is my friend. And imagine the people who spend 5 times Salah in various masajid throughout their life. So every masjid will be fighting, he's mine, and the other masjid will be saying, no, he's mine, And once Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala admits someone into Jannah, He doesn't take them out. And if someone makes it a habit to be in the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as they can, so then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will not deprive them of Jannah. And they'll start to have this aspiration to go towards Jannah. To leave this dunya, because really there's not much left in this dunya. But also as believers, sometimes we think, why don't I aspire for the akhirah? Why don't I wish for the akhirah? al-Mu'mineen Aisha Siddiqa radiyallahu anha, she asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that I don't know what my condition is. Sometimes I don't really aspire or wish for the akhirah like the way I'm supposed to. When you talk about Jannah, I have this aspiration to get there, but other than that, I don't have that. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam then told her very beautifully that this is the condition of a mu'min, of a believer. That the condition of a believer is that in certain times he aspires for the akhirah. And in certain times he aspires to be in this dunya to build more of his akhirah. They gave... This is the condition of a mu'min. That sometimes he's aspiring that let me go make it to Jannah. Sometimes he's wishing, let me build more of my Jannah. Let me do more a'mal here. Let me do more righteous deeds. And he's always looking for another way to make it to Jannah. Another avenue to get to Jannah. So this should be our condition as well. We should not be like these kuffar, the Bani Israel who claim that Jannah is theirs, but in reality they have no hope of getting to it. وَلَنْ يَتَمَنَّوْهُ أَبَدًا بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ. They have no hope of ever wishing for death, ever. وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالظَّالِمِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has complete knowledge of the zalimeen. وَلَتَجِدَنَّهُمْ أَحْرَصَ النَّاسِ عَلَىٰ حَيَاةٍ. You see them the most greedy to live. They'll have these big, big dreams. Because this is what this world is. One of the financial analysts of this big corporation, they have this big bank, Morgan Stanley they call it? Morgan Stanley. One of the big financial analysts, this is a few years back, he went on a vacation tour. And he went to South America, to one place in South America, a simple village he went to. And even these big, big, wealthy people, sometimes they want to detach from the dunya also. They want to go to these peaceful places where people have a peace of mind. So he went to this place and he was just relaxing on the side of the ocean. And he saw some simple man come and, sit down on the side of the ocean. He did some fishing. It was early in the morning. So this person, he's watching him. This wealthy person on vacation is watching this simple man, he's fishing. So after hardly a few minutes, he caught one fish. He put it in the basket. After a few more minutes, the man put his rod back. A few more minutes, he caught another fish, put it in the basket. So he closed his basket and started walking away. So this financial analyst who was on vacation, he was saying, what kind of weird guy is this? He caught 2 fish and he's gone. He caught it in 10 minutes, hardly 10 minutes and he's leaving. What kind of... So he went up to him. He said, sir, can I ask you a question? He said, yes, what is it? He said, you only caught 2 fish. What do you plan to do with 2 fish? So he looked at the fish and he looked at him. He said, yeah, 2 fish is all I need. I'm going to go home. I'm going to skin one of them, clean it, cook it. and I'm going to eat it with my parents, with my wife and my children. We're going to have a nice lunch meal. He said, okay, then what are you going to go? What are you going to do? He said, then I'm going to go to sleep, He said, okay. He said, then what? What about the other one? He said, okay, the other one. So when sun sets, I skin this one, and I'm going to prepare it, I'm going to cook it, and then I'm going to eat this one with my parents, my wife, and my children. He said, then what are you going to do? He said, then I'm going to go to sleep. So when I said, what? What kind of life is this? He said, oh, this is life. What else is I'm eating, I'm enjoying, what more do I need? He said, man, you don't know what's out, you don't know what potential you have. The simple man said, okay, what potential? What are you talking about? He said, sit down, let me explain to you. He said, you see, in 10 minutes you got 2 fish. That means in 1 hour, you can catch, how much? 12 fish. He said, with these 12 fish, he said, but I don't eat 12 fish. He said, no. You keep 2 for yourself, and you sell 10 of them. Then after that, when you sell 10, you'll get more rods, you can hire more people. Then in 1 hour, you'll multiply this by this much. And after that, you can buy 1 ship. From that 1 ship, you can have 2 ships. And then you can have these many millions. And he started talking about, the financial analysts when they started to give you these big dreams. It took him millions and billions and whatever numbers he was showing him. A simple man was like, yeah, wow. He said, so I'll make all this money. He said, yeah. He said, what will I do when I make all this money? He said, then you can retire. He said, okay, when I retire, then what will I do? He said, when you retire, then you can come and catch 2 fish. And he said, when you catch 2 fish, you can eat one for lunch with your parents and your wife and your children, and you can sleep. And then you can eat the other one for dinner with your parents and your wife and your children and sleep. He said, you're making me go through all of this just to retire to do what I'm already doing. What is wrong with you? You make me go through this long... This is what we do with dunya. This is what shaitan puts in our mind. Give us this big dream. And we miss the blessings that are right in front of us. And then we become ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us some sense. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us hidayah. And give all of us the tawfiq to practice His deen. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغِ الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم اللهم نور قلوبنا بالقرآن وزين أخلاقنا بالقرآن ونجنا من النار بالقرآن وأدخلنا في الجنة بالقرآن اللهم اجعل القرآن لنا في الدنيا قرينا وفي القبر مونسا وعلى الصراط نورا وفي الجنة رفيقا ومن النار سترا وحجابا ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين سبحان